Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to another day. Welcome to another morning motivation. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Jamon. I am your host, your moderator for today's discussion. Got a lot going on today, a lot involved with today's show, so I want to get right to it. There's a lot of things that's going to be going on for my day, so I don't have a lot of time to linger on points or anything today. So we're going to get right down to the action, right to the business, and we are going to start with our gratitudes. I want to give people time to get into the space. I know it's early. People are traveling, waiting, doing makeup, getting kids ready for school. So I just want to say, if those of you who don't know me, I am a personal and family development coach for the last 10 years plus, over a decade, where I've been working with fathers, I've been working with families, I've been writing books, I've been learning speaking skills and techniques. And so I am a coach, a author, a speaker. I've done so many things throughout my life, but there's nothing more important to me than being a father, being a husband, being a family guy. Those are the things that I'm truly passionate about. Another thing that I'm really passionate about is helping people maximize their life, becoming the best versions of themselves. I know the journey, I know the struggle, and I know it's not easy to always get that done. So we're going to go ahead and kick things off this morning early with these gratitudes, just to get our day started in the proper perspective. And so, like I say, if you have your gratitudes already written out, I'm going to give you a few seconds to start saying them before I get in with mine. But just take this moment to give thanks and be grateful for where you are in life, where you're headed, because no matter where you are, it could always be worse, but it also could definitely be a lot better. But we're going to get to the better part at the end. So let's get started with these gratitudes. I'm grateful for my health, my strength, the ability to move freely, the ability to just walk around without a bunch of pain, without bags of medication. I'm grateful for a mind to live a healthy life. I'm grateful for my family, for my children, the successes that they have, the lessons that they're learning and have learned. I'm grateful for my parents and their health. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for the journey, past, present, and future, for the lessons that I've learned, for the wins that I've won. I'm grateful for my life. the loves of my life, my wife, my children, the relationships I have with my friends, the growth that I experience on a regular basis. I'm grateful for so many things. So many opportunities have come my way, and I'm grateful. Business opportunities, new partnerships, exponential growth. I am grateful. I am grateful for all the things that make me, that even tried to break me. I'm grateful because there's nothing greater than the opportunity to live this life. And I'm so grateful. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I hope that you all grateful this morning. Hope you all found your gratitude to be something that gives you that charge that helps change or reset your mindset and your attitude going forward. The gratitudes are the thing that does it for me and for most people. Once you put yourself in the frequency of gratitude, once you put yourself on that vibe, you tend to attract those good feelings, those good thoughts. Better things come your way. There's an old saying that we don't see life the way it is, we see it the way that we are. And when you become more grateful, you begin to see life in a little bit more positive way. So let's get into it. We started this week out talking about knowing thyself. And yesterday it was a little bit of a lead into the discussion that we will be having today. And we talked about what's the one thing that you were known for, your old self. Who do people think you were? Who did you used to be? And some of the stumbling blocks of taking that person into your new place. Well, I just want to go ahead and let the cat out the bag. The old person that you were 5 years ago, thank that person because they got you to where you are, but they can't go into your new level. They can't go with you to this new space. Just like we already know, everybody, all our friends can't go sometimes, some family members can't go to new levels, not because we don't want them to go, but they don't qualify. They haven't done the work to actually see what it is that they need to be seeing. So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a step back and look at a bigger perspective. When you think about a child, when you were born, when your children were born, the first teachers are generally the parents, the caregivers, the grandparents, whoever that child grows up in the house with. The people that are directly responsible for that child's growth, that who's feeding that child, those are the people that are most responsible for what that child is learning. Then after that, you extend that into the next the next community, and that would be the school systems, your extended family, your cousins, your aunties, your uncles. And now you're starting to form a bigger picture of who you are or what you think, what you believe. And then you get a little bit older, and now the community starts to inform you. The culture begins to shape who you are. And today is a little different because social media is a very new thing. We didn't have Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter or X or whatever these platforms are now, even YouTube. We didn't have any of these some years ago. But now at the push of a button, a 6 year old can be on Instagram, could be seeing what's happening around the world on Twitter or Snapchat. And there's things that so many things that you just don't you can't always monitor as a parent. And so your child is exposed to some other things. Yes, sir. Craig G, sadness. Yeah, man. Yeah. And so you are directly influenced by the people that's most closely related to you. And this is where we we get our identity from. We develop our moral compass. We our character traits. I mean, all those things that make us who we are. And it tells us, it informs us of how we need to handle success or maneuver through it, but also handle adversity. So when you see the high school superstar goes off to college and he falters, or he goes off and make $1 million or couples of millions of dollars in the NFL or an NBA, and they blow their money, they lose their money. A lot of it is because of how they were cultured, how they were raised. Their first teachers, they didn't have an understanding of these things. And if you're black in this country, and you were ancestors of the enslaved people of this country, then for the last 100 years, you've had a semblance of freedom, of equality, but you've been predominantly in survival mode. And in survival mode, you do what you can, you do the best that you can, you do it as often as you can. But there's, as you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you're not thinking about all the investing in the wealth building if you can barely put food on the table. You're not thinking about college education or college funds if you are struggling with keeping your lights on or keeping the water on or just keeping the gainful employment. So many things you're just not thinking about. Survival is how we're going to get through the next day. But now times are a little different. We have a little bit more access. There are more programs, there are more social things that's happening and gives us more access. So I want to share a story with you today about some teens. Now, this story it kind of shocked me, but it didn't. It only shocked me because of how far it went. I'm just going to show you. Let me see. Let's see. I want to share my screen with you. Boom. Here we go. So, this happened over the weekend or late last week. Two Florida kids stole their mother's car after she took away their electronics, and they were pulled over 200 miles away. 200 miles away. That's the most shocking part. I've seen children rebel because the parents put them on punishment or they got in trouble for something. They go to school and they cut the fool. Matter of fact, I'm guilty of that. Plenty of times my mama told me don't go to school and show my behind because I'm mad. Somebody got to get this smoke. Somebody got to feel my frustrations. Why not the teacher? I apologize, Miss Traffitt and Miss Frazier and Miss Bullock. I apologize. I just want to put that out there now. But somebody got to get this frustration off of what I'm feeling. And so you go to school, you get a substitute teacher some problem. Miss Skipwith, I'm sorry to you too, ma'am. Y'all know, see, I was a problem kid. It's okay though, but I've grown. You don't know what you don't know. And these kids, you know what? Let me go down. Let's go to the even more shocking part of this story. All right. So the police pulls over a white sedan on Interstate 75 just before 4 a.m. Just before 4 a.m. Thursday. When the vehicle was stopped, deputies saw a 10-year-old boy hop out of the driver's seat and his 11-year-old sister exit the car. 10-year-old boy and his 11-year-old sister exited the car. Now, the rest of this story is not even really important. I just wanted to put that part out there to say you don't know what you don't know. And we're talking about children right now, but I got a question for you. Question. What's the one piece of advice you wish you would have taken? What's the one piece of advice that you wish you would have taken? For me, it's boy, you better leave them girls alone. Focus on your education. Get your money right. Then when you get your money right, then you can look at starting a family. That sounded good, but not so good. I was, I was raised during the '90s. Everything was all about, status, money, girls, clothes. I'm not gonna say it the way Biggie used to say it. And there wasn't no time, if I'm working, because I told you I worked two jobs in my senior year of high school. I was an athlete, so I attracted a lot of attention. I had a car. I mean, a lot of things gave me a lot of success early on, and it gave me access. And because of my survival culture that I come from, when you get some good things, when you get people that's validating you, you want to keep that coming. So you don't want to turn it off. You don't want to be seen as the square. So I think culture at the end of the day finishes us off with who we're going to be, our identity purposes. So let's imagine, if you will, this child getting his iPad taken away or phone taken away, whatever device was taken away. They get it taken away. They get mad with the mother, hop in her car, and takes off. 10 and 11 years old. Hop in the mother's car and takes off. That blows my mind, one, because it took, I think it's 4 a.m. What time did they get in the, I have questions. What time did these children actually get in the car? The mother reported stolen at some point, so the story doesn't go into a whole lot of detail of what the mother's or the father's role was or the responsibility that they had. But the car was reported stolen. And they knew the kids was in the car, but I'm sure they didn't know if the kids were kidnapped. But I don't think they had no idea that the kids themselves took the car. Keep living, young buck. So the question is, what's the one piece of advice you wish you would have taken? If you want to throw it in the chat, go ahead. The one piece of advice I told you for me was leave the girls alone, focus on the education, and then all the other things will come along. My dad used to give me that advice. But it was also, Mr. Charlie down the street. Mr. Charlie gave me a lot of advice, a lot of words. But to me, he was just an old dude talking stuff. But the older I get, the more I realize he knew exactly what he was talking about. But how do you tell somebody that they need something or that something isn't right when they don't have enough life experience to even understand what you're saying? They haven't lived long enough to see that it's a point, it's a process, that the game doesn't change, only the players. So yeah, Mr. Charlie might have been 40, 50 years older than me, but he understood something about life and he was trying to share that. My dad was 30 years older than me, and he was just trying to tell me that he understood some things about life that I didn't. That I failed to understand. And because of that, I acted like an immature child, and I took advice. I took wisdom as criticism. There's a saying that unasked for advice is criticism, or it feels like criticism to the immature. I'm going to say it again. Unasked for advice feels like criticism to children or to the immature adults, people with low emotional intelligence or low emotional strength. Unasked for advice can feel like criticism. Why? Because somebody is telling you that what you're doing is wrong. You feel like it's right. It feels right. It looks right. Everybody else is doing it. Why is this person riding my back? Oh, yes. Craig G. Buy that condo for $80,000 back in '06. Yes, sir. That's one piece of advice that would definitely pay it off, especially in this economy. But yeah, we all have them. We all have those things that somebody gave us game, somebody gave us wisdom because they saw something and they may not have been able to go back and undo their mistakes. So they're trying to keep this next generation or this next person from making the same mistake. But I'm learning now. You lead by example in life. You have to lead by example. Because when you give advice on something that you haven't done, it's not credible. It's not credible. I have no proof that it works. I just know it sounds like a good idea. And I could be 1,000% right because I made this mistakes. I made this mistake. I made that mistake. However, if I haven't done it myself, I have very little credibility as it relates to others. So keep living, young buck. Keep living. But to the mature person, unasked for advice is just game. It's just wisdom. Somebody trying to put me on to wisdom, to some new information. That's how you know when you have a person that is hungry, that is emotionally mature. They've hit a space in their life where they want the game, but that normally comes with age. So that takes us to really what our topic of the day is. You don't know what you don't know. And there's nothing wrong with it. None of us know the things that we don't know. The problem I think that we have is it's our culture. Our culture, especially in America, the American culture. Then there's the hip hop culture, and then there's your community culture. It's all these different cultures that sink into who we are, our identity. And it informed us, and we learned to maneuver through the family culture, the community culture, the hip hop culture if you're African American, but then also the American culture. We have to maneuver through all of these cultures just to figure out where we can leave our mark, where we can make a significant contribution that will give us this quote unquote American dream, this higher quality of life, this comfort in life. We want these things. However, the person that you were 5 years ago really don't qualify to go into the space that you're trying to go into today. They got you to the point. For an exercise, if you have ever had to go through a lot as a child, if you have some kind of family trauma, I want you to do this as an exercise for homework. I'm going to ask tomorrow if you actually did it. I want you to look in the mirror or sit in a quiet room or while you're driving or just a space where you off to yourself. And I want you to thank that little boy, thank that little girl for all the stuff, the BS they had to put up with. I want you to thank that person because if it wasn't for their losses and their lessons and their successes and their setbacks, you wouldn't be the person that you are today. I don't want you to look back at that person and feel shame for what they did or what they didn't do. I want you to thank them for what they did. I want you to thank that little version of you, that younger version of you, for enduring all of the bad relationships, for enduring all of the heartache, all the pain, all the abuse, because that person is the one who has you standing here today, ready to enter into the next phase, the best phase of your life. And if it wasn't for that person's contributions, you couldn't be who you are now or who you are becoming. So the topic of the day, you don't know what you don't know. When we're young, the older folks call us young and dumb. When we get older, we claim, man, I was just young and dumb. I didn't know no better. Because some of the mistakes that we made, we can't get over. Some mistakes, you can wipe the slate clean, it goes away. But some, they hang around forever. They don't go anywhere. Sometimes it's children. You mess your credit up at 18, well, you're gonna go in 7 years of debt jail, where you really can't buy nothing without dealing with predatory lenders. And then that becomes a repeating cycle. Then you wake up one day at 40 and you still dealing with 30% interest rates on credit cards or high interest loan. You still go into the buy here, pay here lots because you can't go to the official lot where you can get a good credit rate or get a good percentage on your purchase and you get some cash back features. Instead, because you never learned and you was in survival mode and your culture said it was okay to not pay your bills on time. Your culture said it was this and it was that. Mom, stop, get off my back. I know what I'm doing. We're talking about knowing yourself and why you are where you are in life. We're talking about getting past the hurdles that have traditionally tripped you up and getting you into spaces where you have open spaces to run, open track, no more hurdles. Of course, you're going to have to still run the race. But we're talking about setting yourself up to make the next 5 years so amazing that it dwarfs anything that came before. Because you don't know what you don't know. But that's why channels like this exist. That's why so many books exist. If you can imagine it, if you can think of it, if somebody's already done it, you can do it. You can do it. I went fishing not long ago. I love to fish, for those of you who don't know. And it was a little chilly this particular day. And I saw this bird standing in the water looking for fish to swim by. And I promise you, this bird stood in one spot for about 30 minutes straight. Just standing there. I could see his head move a little bit, but his eyes did more moving than anything. And so part of his coach, his predatory skill is still and stealth. And so what he does, he stands there and he just looks. And then at the right moment, once the fish swim by and get comfortable swimming in the area, he swoops in, picks them up, gobbles them, and goes about his business. Pause. I'm still immature. I'm sorry. Working on it. But that's how he hunts. He doesn't need to put on any clothing. He doesn't need his legs are designed to be in that temperature of water. Meanwhile, I'm on this boat dock with a jacket on, a hat, pants, and some boots. Why wasn't I out there in my skin, just my regular skin, no clothing on? Because somewhere somebody said we are different from these animals. We need to do something that keeps us warmer. So somebody had to imagine an idea. And they did. And clothing was the result of it. Shoes was the result of it. Houses was the result of it. Cars was the result of it. Airplanes was the result. Because somebody had to imagine a thing. And they had to learn how to create that thing. Animals don't have that same thing. They just survive. They living off instinct. But as human beings, the apex predators on the planet, we have the ability to create our environments. So I ask you, if you're not in the environment that you want to be in, why not? You don't have to be in an environment that don't serve you. You get to choose. You get to decide. Nobody but you. You get to choose. Well, if you're underage, your parents got to decide for a little while longer. However, if you can see it here, you can feel it here, you can have it. If people make it, we can have it. We can have it. But if you don't know that, then you keep doing what you've been doing. If you don't know that you don't have to work 30 years and hope and try to retire to have a pension set up, you don't know that. You just go ahead and do it because somebody told you it was the best thing to do. And sometimes advice can be outdated. Sometimes it is. However, where there's a will, there's a way. So what's the point of this whole thing today? Why am I harping on culture and community and where you come from and how you think? Because at some point in time, you get the chance to decide the life that you want. And I don't mean settling for the life that you've always had. No, you get to design your own life. You get to create the life that's ideal to you. You get to choose and pick. But there's always that but. When you break in tradition, when you're going against the norms, there's a higher penalty, there's a higher cost, and you have to be willing to pay that cost, that penalty, or that privilege. I won't even call it a penalty. It's a privilege to be able to live your dreams, to be able to do the things that you want to do. It's time to decide. So, creating a goal, figuring out what that next step looks like for you, and then taking the appropriate steps to make that happen. Knowing thyself is understanding where you come from and also where you want to go. This is the first part of the journey. So, create a goal along the homework that I gave you earlier about thanking that younger version of yourself, thanking the little boy, thanking the little girl. I did it, and I promise you I shed tears. Didn't know it was coming, but I did. But thanking that younger version of yourself is something that has to be done because you have to make peace with your past in order to really move forward into your future. Trauma is real. You have to release that trauma and let go of it. So once you create the goal, there's a few things you need to do. You need to set up maybe some bullet points of activities that need to happen. Start doing those activities. But the second layer is you also need to get around groups that are doing what you're doing, whether it's support groups, whether it's um, networks, social networks, social communities, people that's in the same space that you want to be in. You want to learn the language. If you want to be a doctor or you want to be an attorney or you want to be an IT professional, there's a certain language that you have to speak, words, terminology, vocabulary. You have to know those things. If you want to be in video production or photography or rock climbing, there are certain tools that are used in those trades in that profession that you must know what they are. So you can have a conversation with other people in the network, and it also gives credibility because if somebody says, "Yo, pass me the bring that snake over here," and you don't know if you're not in video production, but you claiming to be, and I say, you got a snake," you're not gonna know what I'm talking about. Or where's the cookie? It's like, is that the cookie shop where you think the cookie is? But if you don't know these words, you lose credibility as the professional in the network. So you got to learn to speak that language. You got to decide on if the level of you got to decide on the level you want to be in it. Are you aspiring to be top, or are you aspiring just to be in happy in the space? Whatever it is, that's the level of activity you need to work toward. And sometimes you may need to find a coach, somebody that you pay some money to give you the cheat code that shortcuts you to the next space, that next level. Because if you don't have time, then you got to spend the money if you want to get there. And that's basically what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen. You don't know what you know. And so you're either going to take the long road and do it brick by brick, step by step, figuring it out, or you're going to get the cheat code the faster way. It's more costly, a little bit more costly. So that is pretty much our episode for today. Knowing thyself, understanding that you don't know what you don't know. So when somebody comes with wisdom, advice, somebody who has done it and lived it, why not follow their advice? Why not take their advice? You can still go and vet it. You can still go into spaces and verify that what they're saying is accurate. Whether they've done it or not, if it makes sense to you. But we're talking about building ourselves, reshaping ourselves. So before we get about here today, I just want to say we're going to do our affirmations in a second. But if you are or know somebody who is in a space in their life and they're trying to figure it out, send them this link. Send them this video. Tell them that there's a guy who's talking about personal development. Now, I'm not giving nothing that it's immoral, that's wrong. This is what every church religious leader will tell you. They just do it from a religious perspective. But the same things that's in the Bible, same thing that's in the Quran, a lot of those same things we're talking about here right now. Because one thing that doesn't change, the earth is the earth. This world is this world. The game never changes, only the players do. So the wisdom in biblical days is the same wisdom we have now. Just want to put that out there. So like, comment, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. All right, so let's get into these affirmations so we can get about here because like I said, I have a really packed day today and I'm gonna be gone pretty much. I'm working probably 16 hours today, but I'm being consistent to my word, and it's what I said I was gonna do, so I'm sticking to it. All right, let's get into these affirmations. I am happy and excited that I've been able to turn my yearly income into my monthly income. I am happy and excited to be able to travel the world and meet interesting people, to own multiple properties and homes, to leave a multi-million-dollar trust or legacy to my children. I am happy and excited to be the #1 personal and family development coach in the world. I am happy and excited to be a highly sought out after and highly paid speaker, to be a role model for my children, to impact tens of thousands of families every year. I am more than enough. I am worthy of the outcomes that I desire. I am worthy of love and trust and companionship. I am worthy. I am more than enough. I hope you did your affirmations as well. Those are my personal affirmations. And those are things that may not be true completely in the present. But those are the things that I'm declaring, that I am setting goals for and working toward. Those are the affirmations that I want to accomplish. So you need to create your own. In the scriptures it says, call those things that be not as though they were. It's about speaking to the mountain and making the mountain move. By faith, by action. Faith without works is dead. That's what we're talking about. Recreating, reshaping who we used to be. That person can't go into the boardroom. That person can't go into the pulpit. That person can't go onto the soccer field or the community group or into the business room or wherever. That old person is not equipped. but that person got you to where you are. So now it's your turn. Start today redesigning your life, recreating the person that you want to be. I grew up in the country. Well, I grew up around the country and I lived in the country for some time. And one thing I noticed, we had this one neighbor whose lawn always looked really good. And so one day I asked him, how did he keep his grass? He said he bought grass and he put it down. And I'm like, why would you buy grass? All this grass out here. He said, bro, this ain't grass. These are weeds. These are weeds. They're not grass. Weeds, they don't need water. They don't need love and care and attention. You ain't got to water weeds every day. Weeds just grow. A weed will be there as long as there's any moisture in the earth. Weeds don't need attention. And if you want weeds in your life, if you have weeds in your life, that's why they're always there. Because they don't require anything. They just hang out and they leech everything that they can get off of you for their survival. But if you want a good lawn, if you want some fertilized, pretty green Bermuda grass, you got to work for that. And I use that analogy as life. The things that we want are worth working for. And the things that we don't want, well, they come in regardless. And if you haven't made space and plans to put something better in place, the weeds are going to be there. They're going to be there. And we're going to talk about that probably on Friday, how to create the space in your life to get the things you want. Because life in general, have you ever noticed that when you clear your schedule, when you make room for something, 5 other things come and try to take that time away from you? That's the way it always is. So if you're going to create space, you got to make sure you're filling it with what you want to fill it. Because if not, you're going to get a honey-do list. If not, you're going to get a boss, could you do this list? If not, daddy, could you do this list? You have to be intentional about the seeds that you're planting, the things that you're doing, and how you're moving in life. So I've been told that my intro music was a little high. So I'm learning. Respect to you, Big Brick by Brick. Shout out, brother. Shout out to you. Big G. Shout out to you. Shout out to you, fellas. Is this audio level better? I'm looking at 2 different systems, and I think I got it figured out now. So I think this is good. I think I think I sound pretty good. So we're going to keep it here. But it's Tuesday. We're one day in. We still get choice. We still can choose how we move, how we love, how we live. That is your right as a citizen of this country, but also as a citizen of the world, a child of God. You can be whatever you want to be. You just have to be it. You have to see it in your mind, which is why writing is so important. Because it's hard to write anything if you don't first see it. Imagine, think about it. Write out those gratitudes. Write out those affirmations. Start saying them every day. Change your own mode, your own mood. Change your own vibration. Get higher of a vibration of spirit. And attract better high vibration of people and things. But life is for the taking. You have to decide to touch it. I believe in you. I know it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Thank you. That shit, yo, I appreciate you. Yes, sir. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Get the word out. Personal development is a real thing. I've seen it change my life in so many ways. I'm making so many more moves today just because I changed this and I changed that. I'm a better person. I like myself better. People like me better. It works. It works, I promise you. Just give it a shot. Work on it day by day, brick by brick. Get it done. All right, I gotta go take moms out. You got a little something to do today. You guys be blessed. Ladies, take care. Love all of you. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.